What is going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in again and welcome to another video about the wild and wonderful world of EDF.
EDF! EDF!
And today we're gonna take a look at a movie. Yes, Earth Defense Force finally made it onto the big screen. Well, kinda. At least in Japan. Because the movie I'd like to talk about is 2025's Romantic Killer, which finally released on Blu-ray and streaming services in Japan just a few weeks ago. I guess not many people outside Japan even know about it, so I thought it might be a good idea to bring it a bit closer to you. Or maybe it's a complete waste of time, who knows. The movie in question is a live-action adaptation of 2025's Romantic Killer anime, which in turn is an adaptation of the 2019 web manga series of the same name. It follows our main protagonist Anzu, a young girl who loves nothing more than games, chocolate and her cat. So yeah, someone we can relate to. But the main reason I was drawn to this movie and why I'd like to talk about it is of course her obsession with, well, Earth Defense Force. Earth Defense Force 6 to be precise. When I saw the first trailers for the movie last summer, I expected it to be another case of cross-promotion, kinda like what they did when that Starship Troopers animated movie came out in Japan a couple of years ago. Remember that? Everyone was kinda excited for an actual crossover, but in the end it was really just for that one trailer. I expected something like that. Not the least because in both the manga and anime, it's all made-up video games she's playing, not actual existing ones. But I am pleasantly surprised and pleased to say that our beloved franchise is actually featured in the movie. And to no small degree. It's our main character's favorite game, she keeps nerding about it to her friends at school, and it's made clear she's a die-hard fan. I mean, the opening scene of the movie is her playing Earth Defense Force 6, and I think it's great the game is featured in this capacity. It's the first thing people see going in, and they even made some new animations and voice recordings for it. Oh, by the way, Storm 1 is credited as Earth Defense Force Soldier and voiced by Kijima Ryuichi, who also voiced One-Shotter in One Punch Man and Kill Baby in Sakamoto Days, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll talk about the actual movie and give a quick review later on, but for now let's focus on all the Earth Defense Force references at hand. There might be more, but these are the ones that caught my eye, so let's get going. Like I already mentioned, the movie opens with Anzu playing Earth Defense Force 6. Mission 57, the one-eyed giant to be precise. She's playing as a ranger and her armor is at 491, which is not that unusual at that point of the game. Her weapons of choice are the Grand M32, which is a level 8 rocket launcher, the T1 Stork, which is a level 6 assault rifle, and the MG11 hand grenade, which is actually still the level 0 starting equipment. This kinda makes me think she might be playing on easy, but hey, we don't judge around here. Another thing I noticed is the scene starts at around 11:47 in the evening and they make a point showing she played the whole night through until 7:26 in the morning. We've all been there. However, it's only then that she finishes the mission she was playing when the scene started. Which means she was playing mission 57 for 7.5 hours. And it's not like she was grinding for armor or weapons or anything. Her armor by the end is still at 491 and she's still using the same loadout. So, I don't know, maybe that's her favorite mission? Anyway, apart from playing the game, there's more EDF goodness to be found, so let's take a closer look at her room. We can see a black tote bag with the Grim Reaper's logo hanging on the wall. This bag was released as part of the Earth Defense Force series 20th anniversary back in 2023. In her shelves in the background we can also spot the 20th anniversary soundtrack collection, some armor and weapon crate storage boxes, as well as a folded health crate box, the smaller weapon and armor crate cases, which were also released for the 20th anniversary, and something that looks like the cover of Earth Defense Force 4.1, but I can't quite make it out. It doesn't look like the PS4 version, it's missing that blue line on the top. But it also doesn't quite look like the Nintendo Switch version. If you have any idea what this could be, please leave a comment, I'd really like to know.
We interrupt our program to bring you these breaking news.
After further investigation and with help from the international branch in the Advanced Science Research Institute, it was brought to light that this is in fact the Earth Defense Force Mainichi Flip Calendar released in 2017. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We are now returning to our main program. There's also some PS2 games next to it, but it's just too blurry to make out. I'd like to believe it's the first 3 games though. Yes, I said 3 games. Tactics is a valid entry into the series. Behind the 20th anniversary soundtrack collection we can also spot a World Brothers 2 Uchiwa fan. Those were given away at the D3 booth during Tokyo Game Show 2023. They got World Brothers 2 on one side and Custom Mech was on the other. Anyone still remember that game? It wasn't the greatest, but it had a full EDF side story campaign, which you can check out right here on this channel, for free! There's lots and lots of other games and manga and anime stuff floating around her room, like this Super Famicom Rockman X card. Or this instruction manual of the Japanese-only tactical role-playing game Wachenröder for Sega Saturn. One of the first Japanese video games I ever imported in my life. But for this video we'll keep things limited to EDF.
EDF! EDF!
When she later comes back from school, after nerding about EDF to her friends, we get a better look at some of her games, and there's a lot of EDF to be found. We can see Earth Defense Force 2, 3 and 4.1 for Nintendo Switch, Earth Defense Force 5, Iron Rain and World Brothers for PlayStation 4, and Earth Defense Force 6 for PlayStation 5. I could not spot World Brothers 2, however. That game was released May 2024 in Japan, and according to an article on Sunspo.com, filming on Romantic Killers started in September 2024, so technically the game was out by the time of filming. But I suppose all the sets and scripts and props were already finalized months in advance, so maybe this set was built and signed off on before the game was out, even if actual shooting started only after the game was out. There is another PS5 game sitting between Earth Defense Force 2 and 3, Samurai Maiden, which is also published by D3 Publisher and also produced by Okajima-san, just like the EDF series. But apart from that, there's only Earth Defense Force games presented that prominently with their boxes clearly visible, which gives me the impression that game's a replacement for World Brothers 2, which might not have been available to make it into the movie, but would have been put there. Then again, there could also be another, much simpler explanation, but we'll get to that later. For now, Anzu goes on to return to her favorite game, and she's now at mission 63, Collision on the Plains. She's still using the same loadout and her armor is still at 491, which is a bit odd. She could have manually set it to that value, but it's most probably just an oversight. Interestingly, there's another copy of Earth Defense Force 6 lying in front of the TV, so she bought it at least twice. I mean, I bought it like 4 times myself, so who am I to blame her, right? It's a great game. There's also a blink and you miss it scene in which we can spot some aggressive alien species alpha papercraft in the background. Both the regular and the more spicy Crimson variant. Those are available for download from the official Japanese EDF 6 website. I'll put some links in the description if you wanna build your own. This is also the moment when her game freezes while fighting a Cruel and Storm 1 turns around to address her directly. This, my friends, is EDF's big moment. They actually made new animations and, of course, voice lines for this, and according to an interview with the game's producer Okajima-san from before the movie's release, he was somewhat involved with those scenes. I think it's pretty cool the game is incorporated into the movie like that. I mean, it's not just a game she's playing, she's actually interacting with the characters. A bit later in the movie, when Anzu is lying in bed, we can see she's been studying the official guidebook for Earth Defense Force 5. Maybe in preparation for EDF 6? Interestingly, it still has that little obi strip on the bottom, which you'd usually remove before reading. And underneath that we can spot an issue of Besatsu Video Game Magazine. And that's a bit strange. Besatsu Video Game Magazine, or Besatsu Terebi Gemu Magazine, is a popular Japanese video game magazine mainly aimed at young kids. And the issue at hand is the World Brothers 2 special, which was released on July 23, 2024, 2 months after the game's release. It features a lot of tips and tricks regarding the gameplay and its mechanics, and it also comes with this handy little booklet containing info on all the base game brothers and sisters, their specials and support abilities. Plus you'll also get this DVD containing even more strategies, walkthroughs and just some fun gameplay hosted by the magazine's editor Sanapi and comedian Fudo-chan of the comedy trio Daizu Denkyu. All in all, it's a pretty neat package for fans of the game, whether you're a grown-up adult or still a kid. I know, we are all still kids at heart. So how come this magazine, which was published after the game's release, made it into the movie, but the actual game didn't? My initial suspicion it could have been something to do with the sets and props being finalized long before shooting doesn't quite hold up in this case. I went back through all the scenes in her room, scanning everything frame by frame in hopes that maybe I just overlooked World Brothers 2 somewhere, but no, I really couldn't find it. And that spot taken by Samurai Maiden is so obviously meant to be another Earth Defense Force game. So maybe they just fumbled this one. The game should have been there on the day of shooting, but something went wrong. Maybe the set designer ordered the wrong game, maybe someone at D3 packed the wrong items into the EDF merch for movie box. Whatever the case, the game wasn't there on the day of shooting and they had to scramble for a last minute replacement and put Samurai Maiden in its place. At least that's a possibility. We might never know what really happened. In this scene we can also see the armor and weapon crate dog tags lying in the shelf next to the cases we saw earlier. I'm not 100% sure what's left and right of them, but it could be the Earth Defense Force washi or masking tapes. It's hard to tell because they are rolled up, but so much of her merch is from the 20th anniversary and those masking tapes were also released on that occasion alongside the dog tags, so I think it makes sense. So as we can see, Anzu is pretty much decked out when it comes to Earth Defense Force merch. Towards the end of the movie, and this is not a spoiler, don't worry, towards the end of the movie we see her playing EDF 6 again, this time tackling Mission 8, Alpha Colony Swarm from the first Mission Pack DLC, Lost Days. Her max armor increased to 3012 and she also changed her loadout. Now sporting the MG60, which is a level 101 hand grenade introduced in DLC 1, the MA9 Slate, which is a level 101 assault rifle from the same DLC, and the Stampede XAM, which is a level 110 grenade launcher from the second DLC, Visions of Malice. That means she must have played Visions of Malice on Inferno, but then went back to Lost Days. I can see why, Visions of Malice is pretty tough, even on lower difficulties. I think it's kinda nice how the movie starts and ends with her playing EDF. I know it's no Hollywood blockbuster that draws in millions of people around the world, but still it's cool to see that our beloved little series was featured so prominently in an actual live-action movie that was shown on the big screen, if only in Japan. I just wish I could have seen it in an actual cinema, that would have been so cool. Now the movie itself is a romantic comedy, alright? And while Earth Defense Force does play a big role in Anzu's life, it's not the main focus of the movie. It's a funny, quirky, light-hearted love story chock full of references, inside jokes and Easter eggs, not only regarding Earth Defense Force but other games, anime and nerd culture in general. In fact, there are so many in-deep references to anime, video games, Korean dramas, Japanese movie tropes and other very specific things even I am not nerdy enough to get, that I think it might be hard to fully enjoy for non-Japanese audiences. Not just because of the language. To regular moviegoers it might feel like a collection of randomness stitched together to resemble something like a movie. It's very, very otaku anime nerd culture focused, which might be a bit too much for some viewers. At the time of making this video, the movie is also only available for Japanese markets and neither the Blu-ray nor the streaming options on Unext and Prime Video offer English subtitles. It's questionable if there will be an official English release, and due to the very specific jokes and references and overall nerdiness, I kinda doubt it. Then again, the 2022 anime was eventually made available in English, so maybe there's a chance this movie will find its way to the West as well, English dubbing and all. Until then, the only official ways to watch it are either to import a Japanese Blu-ray or watch it on a Japanese streaming provider like Prime Video or Unext. I'm not sure if this movie will have all that much of an impact. I mean, it is pretty niche to begin with, made for a niche audience with niche interests, but if this level of exposure could increase interest in the Earth Defense Force series, I think that's a good thing. The more people know about it, the better, I'd say. And who knows, maybe this is the beginning of something bigger. First we got the Starship Troopers collaboration, which had EDF show up in a movie trailer. Now we got the first on-screen appearance of Storm 1 and EDF in an actual movie, so maybe we'll eventually see a full Earth Defense Force solo film hitting the theaters? Now that would be amazing if this little romantic comedy planted the seeds for that. Until then, I'll keep on dreaming, and I hope you enjoyed this little close-up look at Earth Defense Force's first foray into the world of cinema. If you did so, feel free to hit that like button. If you didn't, don't hesitate to drop a dislike. And as always, thanks for watching, stay hydrated and
EDF! EDF!
subscribe to this channel. It's an awesome and amazing channel. Subscribe to this channel.